Hi everyone, my name is Tanisa and I'm super excited to be representing Honeybee Stamps for this year's Stamptember celebration. Today I thought I'd share a project that I'd been working on as a gift for someone special, a fun DIY coloring book that is perfect for card makers and paper crafters. I will be listing all the supplies used in my projects as well as any dimensions I specify on my blog as well as YouTube. Today I will be highlighting some of the brand new products from Honeybee Stamps. Zen Floral and Zen Bouquet were both inspired from the popular adult coloring book trend, and boy are they fun to color. Both have matching dies, and the large bouquet is almost 6 inches round. I thought it would be perfect to show off for today's project share. You can make a DIY coloring book so many different ways, so I didn't want to bore you with a step-by-step tutorial. So today I'll walk you through this project, and then I'll talk about several possible ways you can make your own custom coloring book with supplies you may have on hand already. So my coloring book that I'm making today is approximately 5 by 7, a good size for A2 cards. To make this particular cover size, you're going to need 2 pieces of 5 by 7 chipboard, 2 pieces of cover paper measured at 5.5 by 7.5. This is presentation paper in my hand, but I use Nina cardstock on my project, and even though it worked, getting the corners as crisp was a little difficult. So I would recommend using this lighter weight presentation paper. It's really smooth and has good coverage, unlike standard copy paper. So it's a good thing to use. And then lastly, you're going to want to use some printed paper for the inside and trim it slightly smaller than your chipboard cover. So these I did 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. I adhered all the pieces together with score tape, but you can use your favorite adhesive, and you can even skip covering the chipboard if you want. You can just paint it. So I'm using the Zen Floral set to decorate my cover. I die cut 2 of the border pieces and stamped them. And then I used my Clarity stencil brushes and ink blending tools to blend that in. And then here is the new Says Stamp stitched scallop borders, and I used the middle one, and I inlaid that on the borders. And then I also used this Color My World stamp set from Honeybee and die. So I used this top piece and I inlaid that into the cardstock, and then I stamped. After I did the ink blending, I stamped the colorful. And then after I was done stamping, I took my black glaze pen and I went over all of the stamping so it would have a little bit more whimsical hand-drawn feel to it. I thought that it was fun and playful. And then I used a little bit of black ink and splattered that there. So really easy. So here we go on to the inside. And I made the inside pages slightly bigger than a standard A2 card base, so you can cut them down. And I had some extra space at the top for the binding. The inside pages are 4.5 by 6.5. And I pre-stamped some of these card bases on the Tim Holtz Distress watercolor cardstock that's pre-cut. I love this stuff. And so all the watercolor pieces I stamped on that, and then I also had Nina that behind. So when you're done coloring the watercolor piece, you just gently lift this up. It has temporary adhesive, and there's another duplicate, and you can use it with other media like Copics or colored pencils, and you can just rub this adhesive away. It wipes away cleanly. It's a dot adhesive from scrapbook adhesives, and that's all there is to that. So I stamped a bunch using the Zen Florals. This one you can't see because I embossed it with clear Says Stamp clear ink and clear embossing powder. And then this one I used the honey jar from Sweet as Honey, and I made it into a vase. And then I also stamped a bunch of the single florals so that you could just color and fussy cut them out and maybe do some layering. I thought, if you have 5 minutes to color, it's nice to do that. And then here is some really cool products from Simon Says Stamp. It's exclusive. They're called Susie's Doodles, and they're printed on that same Tim Holtz watercolor cardstock. And there's several designs. I own 3 packs, and there's a brand new one that just came out for Stamptember. But they're really fun. They're totally adorable, whimsical, fun to color. You can use any kind of media to color all the doodles. And so I put in, I think, about 10. I didn't want to pack the coloring book too tight because then it's hard to close and it makes things difficult. So as a finishing touch to the coloring book, I have taken some Peerless watercolor sheets in the bonus pack, and I made a cute little removable watercolor palette. You can see I took some acetate here and I cut it with my binding machine. You see the holes, and then I snipped each of the openings at the top so that it can pop in and out of the wire binding of the coloring book. And you can easily add this to any kind of notebook. And if you wanted to color with it out, you can just pop it out next to you on the table, flip to the coloring sheet you want, and then just color. So this is a belly band I just created with a strip of the same paper, just using the B side. And I cut all the papers in hexagon shapes because I'm creating with honeybee. And I used the Simon Says Stamp Perfect Shaped dies, and I used the second to the largest hexagon for this one. And then I just adhered the hexagon into the palette with some multimedia matte. And they stayed put really, really well. And then I swatched it all out. So the palette size is 6 by 9. You need the same size watercolor paper. I used the Tim Holtz watercolor paper in the bigger sheets, and then the same printed paper that I've been using for the project, and then some acetate. I used Durlar because it's a heavier like acetate-like material, and you want to use this so that if you put away your watercolor stamp, it doesn't contaminate the other colors. It protects it, and it'll be protected on both sides because that is adhered between the cardstock and the printed paper and scored so that it lays down. And I used score tape to make sure that that was securely in there. And then you can just keep the belly band, and I put a little decorative circle on that just to go with the theme. You can also use a piece of elastic or even like a hairband. Anything really. There's even Velcro dots. You could do something like that. So whatever you have, this was handy for me, and so that's what I used. Okay, so the last thing with the book is the binding. I bound my coloring book using the We Are Memory Keepers cinch binding machine. This is the Heidi Swap edition with the square holes, but they also have one that does round holes. This is super straightforward and easy, but like I said, there are other machines out there. You could also take a crocodile punch, and you can punch the holes yourself. Just mark them with a pencil, and then you can use the same binding rings, or you could tie it together with ribbon and twine, or you could use these mini album rings. These work just as well. Lots of different options. You could even use an old planner or traveler's notebook as a coloring book. So really, your imagination is the limit. So like I said, I'm giving this particular book as a gift. So I'm popping the coloring book in this mesh bag along with a water brush and chamois that I picked up at my local craft store. I just think that this makes a great travel kit. So with the water brush, the chamois, and the coloring book, you can just toss this into a purse, a diaper bag, and color at the park. You could travel with it, pop it in your carry-on. So I'm hoping the recipient loves it because it is so portable. And it's easy to just take out and color for a few minutes and then put it away. I also made a card to go with the gift, and I'm using the Zen Bouquet stamp. And so I stamped it and cut a bit off. It's stamped on the die cut, and I colored it in with my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. And then I added some glitter touches and also some detail with glossy accents in certain areas. For the sentiment, I actually used a brand new Says Stamp STAMPTEMBER die, which is the Inspire, and then this older A2 card curved edge. And I cut that curved edge and put some pattern paper behind it. And then I cut out the Inspire word. And I wanted the sentiment to say, "You inspire me." But instead of using alphabet stamps, I found a "You Make Me" stamp in the Happy Everything honeybee stamp set. So I cut the "make" out, and I can always assemble it later as it was intended. And then I stamped that out along a curved line with my MISTI and adhered the die cut. And then I put a little bit of glossy accents over that gold die cut just to give it some shine, and then my black glaze pen for the lettering. And then I added this cute little bee off to the right hand side from the Sweet as Honey set, so it looks like the bees traveling the letters, the scripty letters. And also I love to add some little stamp detail in the back with my signature, so I put the bee back there too. So here's one more idea for you. These are the Kaisercraft gel pens, and normally I'm not a gel pen kind of girl, but these are pretty amazing. They have metallic, these are pastel. I just removed the label, and it's a pretty, sturdy box. And there's also a glitter set, which is my favorite. And so I made a belly band with the same pattern paper as my coloring book to tie it in. I added some Schoolhouse red cardstock strips along the edges. I cut out the Create die cut from the new Simon Says Stamp STAMPTEMBER release, and I coated that in some glitter and some glossy accents, and then I colored in one of those little red hearts. But you can just slide this off, it's just for decoration, but it just ties it all in. So if you take this and then you have your mesh bag with the coloring book, and you have a pretty little card, and I even made an envelope with some honeycomb gold vellum paper. I'm just going to pop this in that envelope. And what a cute little gift set, right? So a little girl or another crafty friend, I bet there's so many people that would enjoy a gift like this. And you probably have almost all of the supplies on hand. So I hope that you found today's projects inspiring and can think of ways to make your own personalized coloring book. Thank you so much to Simon Says Stamp for inviting Honeybee Stamps and myself to share in this Stamptember celebration. And thank you for watching. Have a great day and happy Stamptember!